Hi guys. I got asked a question by someone who is obviously not a super duper automotive enthusiast, you know, but someone who buys cars, you know, they buy luxury cars, but they don't really care what's going on. They never really thought about it. They never really gave thought about it. And this question popped up, and I was like, yeah, quite a number of people out there doesn't really know how it works. You know, they know there's an engine, and from pictures they can sort of recognize that is an engine with a lot of tubes going in and out, some weird metal parts, and the whole thing looks rather tall with some belts and something that looks like a fan. They know that's an engine, but how that converts the burning of petrol into the spinning of our wheels, they don't really have an idea. And someone just popped the question to me, and then I was a bit, it's, you know, to me it's like, hey, isn't that obvious? But apparently it's not. So now I'm gonna attempt to explain how an engine works by talking. Yeah, I might need a whiteboard at the back and then go like, hello everybody! Not everybody. Hello everyone! And welcome! Anyway, I'm not gonna do an impression again. Yes, let me first explain this. Petrol is something that can be burned. Boom, right? Just like gunpowder, just like your firecrackers and things like that. So when you burn something, when you combust something, there is the release of energy. There is the expansion of matter, right? Like in fireworks, it went from solid to gas in a very rapid manner, a bit too rapid, honestly. And that expansion pushes things. Oh, a caveat first. I am not a science stream student. I failed my physics, I failed my chemistry, I failed in everything that has to do with studies. So I do not know, perhaps there are specific terms that you guys who studied mechanical engineer or whatever, you guys might have special terms for certain things, but all I can do to explain this is using the second language that I know best, English. Alright, so I'm just gonna explain it in English, in pure English. So whatever that I mention, I might accidentally use some terms that you guys specifically use in mechanical engineering or automotive or whatever shit, okay? I do not know any of that, okay? But I'm just explaining it in layman terms, okay? So we get that out. Burning petrol, burning fireworks, burning anything, it creates a rapid expansion of matter, and that rapid expansion from a tiny firework to boom, right? That creates a force that pushes things, and of course the scientists and all that, they conclude that as an expulsion of energy. Okay, so how do we convert that into a car that runs? You see, in an electric motor, it's a totally different thing. An electric motor or an electric engine is totally different. Those are a magnet and some coils, and then you run electricity through it, and the magnet will spin, and that creates the spinning force required to be converted either through a gearbox or whatever to the wheels, and then you have a spinning, a rotational motion that can carry you from point A to point B, and then you have a steering wheel that moves the wheels in the direction that you want to go to. That would be electric car. Very straightforward. But what about traditional cars? Combustion engines. We call them combustion engines because things inside combust. Boom. Now, if you put a small firecracker in a tube, a transparent but very strong tube, you put the firecracker in there. As you blow up the firecracker, force can only go one direction. It can only go up. Boom, right? Because there is nowhere to go. It is enclosed in a cylindrical object and the force just goes up. That's it. Right? If you don't have the cylinder, it will just go anywhere. Anywhere that it can expand to, it will just go anywhere. But to harness the engine, to harness the power of that thing, to power an engine, we need, the first thing we need is for it to go one predetermined direction. And that's where we want the energy to push towards so that it can push something. And in hopes that that pushing motion can somehow be converted into what is connected to our wheels so that our wheels can rotate, right? Now, that is we get that correct already, yeah? That is very straightforward, right? You put a tube, you put a firecracker, you blew it, boom, the force will go up. You put anything on top, it's gonna shoot it out, just like a gun, right? You pull the trigger, boom, the gunpowder expanded from behind, and then the bullet will shoot towards that direction that was predetermined by the barrel of the gun. Same goes a rocket. Rocket is different because the propulsion was directed to the back so that it pushes the thing into the front. It doesn't need a barrel, but somehow it needs some guidance system. Okay, anyway, it works the same for a cannon as well. Now, so you're thinking, okay, I have fuel and then I burn them, they go one direction, and what's next? How do I harness that energy into spinning the wheels? To spin the wheels, you need something that rotates, right? A gear and a gear, it rotates, right? It just rotates and rotates. How do we turn the linear directional of that propulsion of energy into something that reciprocates? Reciprocates meaning that it's gonna somehow come back so that you can repeat the process again and again and again and again. So by repeating the process, you are truly making something that is confined to one space. You see, to move forward is easy, okay? I can tie a string to myself and then I sit on top of a trolley with wheels, okay? I pull that string towards me, I tie that around me, and then I have some sort of a cylinder with a bullet or a rocket or a cannon, and then I tie that string to the cannon and then I blow it up, boom, and then the thing shoots out and pulls me forward, and then it slows down and died off. So I can't be traveling by using that method because it doesn't reciprocate. It doesn't come back to allow me to repeat that process again and again and again in a fast and efficient and viable manner. I can't be sitting on a trolley and then blow that thing which pulls me forward for 20-30 meters and then it stops, and then I have to repeat the process again and blow myself up again. No, that doesn't work. So we come back to that thing just now, the cylinder that I mentioned. You put some firework in there and then it goes one motion up. Now that is the basis of our engine block. The cylinder blocks that you hear people saying, cylinder blocks. And inside the block we put what is called a piston. You know all the Caltex commercials where you see things that move like that? That is the piston that moves up and down in the cylinder blocks. Okay, I will first mention down, because down is very straightforward from what I mentioned just now. You put something that blows up, you burn it, and you push the thing down. So you can push it using firework, or you can push it using gas, petrol, diesel, right? Gasoline. You can push it, you burn it, it exploded, and then it pushed the thing down. Now the thing has go down. How does it come back up so that you can blow it again? By then we will have a reciprocating action, right? So the engine, you always watch those video clips or those commercials of engine oils. They show the pistons moving up and down like a punch, right? It does that. What is the connection below here that allows that thing to keep on doing that? Remember when you cycle, you have a disc, and then where do you mount the pedal? You don't mount the pedal in the middle. If you mount the pedal in the middle, right? You're gonna pedal it together if it's soldered tight, right? If the pedal is here, your feet stepping on here, how are you gonna move up and down? No, you put here and there's a lever that comes out like that on one side, a lever that comes down on the other side. So what does this do is that your two feet doing this creates a reciprocating action, right? Because you're offset, hence you can do this. So that works the same way as our crankshaft and our con rods. Okay, our crankshaft and con rod works in the same logic as you pedaling a bike. Okay, and on top of your bike's pedal, imagine you put the two cylinders that I mentioned just now. So the cylinders are doing the bike motion. Okay, the cylinders are actually doing the up and down, but this thing goes in circle, that one goes up and down. So that's where we put a con rod. The con rod allows the cylinder to do this. So you have the cylinder there to take the explosion, that pushes things down, and this thing allows the circular motion, of which our legs usually do it. And the key with the crankshaft and the con rods is this motion. Yeah. And these two ends is the pistons. And that is the basis of how an engine works. From a linear direction force, we turn it into a rotational force that allows reciprocating, and then that rotational force allows you to pair it with anything. If you're a generator, you don't need to power a car, you mount that to a mill or something, and then it is able to turn that thing. So if it is a car, that rotating motion can be directly mounted to your wheels, and then your wheels will turn. Of course, that will mean that how fast the engine turns is how fast your wheels turn, which is not the most efficient manner. So we have a gearbox, right? And we shall explain gearboxes next time. But that is the basis of how an engine works. It might sound very, very basic for a lot of you who understand how engine works, but I was also surprised that someone requested me to explain how an engine works. And of course, there's a myriad different ways of making it work. Okay, you can have a linear motion, or you can have a boxer engine. There are a lot of types of engine, and I shall explain that in maybe another video if there is a request. All right, that's it. Cheers.